Hey guys, this is Rick coming at you with Weed to No Basis, the podcast for all things cannabis business related. Are you an entrepreneur? Have something you wanted to create, something you wanted to bring to life in the cannabis industry? Maybe you've always wanted to partake in one of the biggest industries in modern day history. This is the podcast to listen to.
All right, so we are recording live on this is a beautiful, I'm looking out my window, it's a beautiful Texas hot summer day, but it's nice and clear today. And we're here live on Weed to No Basis with Adelia Carrillo. Pick your poison. And remember, folks, as I introduced her, I just want to remind everybody that if you're listening, if you're tuning in, whether you're listening on your iPhone, your iPod, or you're watching on YouTube or WeedTube, it's because you two have a Weed to No Basis. So, Adelia, welcome aboard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. And you are, so as we speak, I'm in Texas and you are where?
San Diego, California. So we have beautiful weather too. Actually, it was a little overcast, but that usually burns off around this time. So another beautiful day in San Diego.
San Diego kind of has, because I'm from SoCal originally, Los Angeles, but San Diego is kind of, I always hear about the June gloom. Is that over yet?
It is still happening, but yeah, just a little bit in the mornings, not too bad.
Nice. And the June gloom is kind of like the mornings seem kind of fuzzy and hazy, and it looks like.
And cold. So you go to the office with a jacket, and then by the time you go out to lunch, it's like burning up hot. You're like, why do I have a jacket? Like,
yeah. How funny. And burning up. I was just, so my wife and I were just in South Beach literally last week, and it was in the 90s and about 88% humidity. That was hot.
Yes. Yeah.
That was
hot. Yes. And sweaty, I'm sure.
Hot and sweaty. And you're originally from the Bay Area, from Northern California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like San Francisco, Silicon Valley, what part?
Yeah. So like Union City, Alameda, California, that's where my whole mom's side of the family lives. But we moved to San Diego when I was a little girl. So San Diego's home.
Nice. But California through and through from birth till now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Love it. I got to say, I miss LA a lot. We go back pretty often to literally LA, Santa Monica, Venice, but Texas is home for me. So I'm a little envious of SoCal folks. So I got to share the reason why we connected. First of all, is I had been following you on DCN, one of your companies, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. And what really piqued my interest is you posted an article, and I want to say it was in the last maybe month or 2 months, and it was on a blog. And I was up late one night, and I tend to have my most clear moments when everything's quiet and the lights are off, and I can read and just focus. And for whatever reason, this article or a blog that you had posted popped up, and I read it, and I was I can't quite find the word. I don't know if it was stunned or I was like, wow, I was amazed and stunned, and just at your forthrightness, at your openness, and what you shared. So tell us a little bit about DCN, what it is, what it does, and then we'll kind of segue into, if you don't mind, what you shared with the world.
Yeah. So Direct Cannabis Network is a leading digital business-to-business news network. We cover the latest tech, entrepreneurs, and innovative companies in the cannabis industry. We launched in 2015, and we've been creating a global ecosystem for cannabis entrepreneurs, tech, and innovation through content. So through our shows, through editorial, and some of our B2B events.
Nice. And I'm furious. I write a lot of notes just so when folks see me looking down, I'm not looking at my text. I'm an avid note taker. So DCN launched in 2015. What was the genesis? Like, what was, if you go back a few years ago, what was the problem you were solving or the opportunity you saw? What said to you, I need to do this?
Well, first of all, I never thought I would be in the cannabis space. I didn't even know there was an opportunity for me to have a career in cannabis. I was in the consumer electronic industry, and I actually had some life transitions that brought me into becoming a cannabis patient. And that kind of just opened my eyes into everything, into this plant, into this community that's now becoming this industry. And during that transition, I was just looking for things that I like, which is tech, entrepreneurship, and innovation, and wanting to know, why are people coming into this space? Why are these ideas being developed? You know, just learning really the why. Why are these ideas evolving around this plant? And I didn't really find a network or ecosystem that I connected with. And I'm like, okay, there needs to be something for entrepreneurs in this space. You know, there needs to be something highlighting them. There needs to be something giving them a voice that, you know, as it starts to turn into this industry, those voices are still heard. The why is still recognized, because the biggest thing is, you know, a lot of the OGs, you could say, are scared of the money that is coming in. But I do believe there's a way where we can merge these two sectors or communities together. And so our hopes with DCN was really being able to highlight everybody's story on, you know, why they do what they do, the passion behind it, the importance of this plant, all focused around business and startups and tech.
Gotcha. And I was introduced by DCN literally just surfing one day. I was likely parallel story several years ago. That was kind of my entrance into this industry. And I got to say, I play mostly on the CBD side because of where I live here in Texas. But I was hungry for information, and I discovered DCN. And you're right, it was kind of like, my words, not yours, this clearinghouse of information, and very well done. So it was web based, is what it was basically, right? Somebody could go there. They could read information. So kind of break it down, like for somebody who's never been there, if somebody types in DCN or a few years ago, what would they have been looking for and what would they have found?
So honestly, what would they have been looking for? They would have been looking for startups. They would have been looking for tech. They would have been looking for, you know, fundraising, even keywords like investment, cannabis startups. All of what was covered was, in the beginning, it was just mostly the stories of entrepreneurs and companies that were getting funded, companies that were getting acquired, companies that were raising capital. Now, as it transitioned, the content transformed to even more, where it was more business focused, you know, providing education. So we started bringing on contributors who would be able to share their knowledge, maybe like attorneys or accountants, who could create content that would help new business owners learn how to navigate their way in the cannabis industry.
Nice. Okay. And the interesting thing, so you talked about startups, tech, fundraising, and all those things. So your company, DCN, Direct Cannabis Network, and yourself specifically, you actually went through an incubator program there in Southern Cal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Canopy San Diego.
Yeah. So you talked about startups fundraising, and your company actually went through it. What was that like? So did you apply for the program and have to be accepted? And what was that like for? Because I bet there's a lot of startup cannabis entrepreneurs out there who have great ideas, and there's multiple ways to build your business. And you took the accelerator route. Tell us a little bit about that. So,
you know, DCN was already around for about a year and a half. But I knew that to scale a media company, we were going to have to fundraise. We were going to have to raise capital. I have never had that experience. So when I saw that Canopy San Diego was coming to San Diego, I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity. We get to learn, you know, how to speak investor, because I didn't know what that meant. I only knew how to create a pitch deck and you know, that whole landscape through what I've read online. So I really felt that the value is to go through an accelerator and help us build a foundation that we would need so we could continue to grow DCN globally. And it did. You know, what we had to do was basically negotiate. We had to show them what we created and what we've done. And looking at it, I made sure that I projected our value. You know, we had more cannabis knowledge than they did. They had the investor knowledge that we needed. So at the end of the day, like I believe it was a win-win for everyone, for both organizations, for DCN and for Canopy San Diego.
Nice. So you applied for the program. And so for folks who don't know, Canopy actually, I think, originated in Boulder. And they have now Canopy San Diego and maybe a couple others. But the premise of it is basically that fast growth companies, and I think is it maybe just tech companies, tech-centric cannabis companies? Ancillary. Okay.
So non-plant touching.
Gotcha. So you apply for a program, and then do they take an equity piece, and then you get a seed, you get some funding from them, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they do take an equity piece. There is opportunity to get extra capital through them as well. They also work with ArcView, so you do have opportunities to potentially pitch at those events as well. And they have a great mentor, program, or a mentor is aligned with them as well.
Nice, gotcha. So you applied for the program, you put gas in the engine, you took off, and I'm going to jump ahead because it was in the last few months that I read the article, because the startup, and I think you would agree, the startup, the art of the start, it's very sexy, it's cool, it's compelling. We have big ideas, and some of us, like you take it to incubators, accelerators, you get funded, and then life and things. And so kind of fill in some of the gaps, like, and again, I don't want to get real personal, but your story was very impactful for me. It was inspiring. That's the word I was looking for.
Thank you. So the one thing with building DCN, I always made sure to be transparent on the journey. You made a good comment a moment ago about building a startup, going through this accelerator, and then also the transition of me kind of speaking on this journey of entrepreneurship. It all aligned with what DCN was and what we did. And so throughout the whole journey, I've always been transparent about the hardships, about the hurdles, about this, milestones and good things that we achieved throughout this time. I felt that was important just because in the startup space and in even the cannabis space, a lot of times you'll go to these conferences and all of us are like, our companies are doing great, big smiles, and we never know. That person probably couldn't pay rent, or their lights are about to turn off, or, they're going through some stuff. And it's like, the reality is we're not alone. We're all dealing with our own hurdles of building a startup. And it's okay to obviously not be I don't want to say I complained, but I would just share the reality. It's not all glamour. It is hard work. It is lonely, and you need to be able to make sure you have a good support group. So I kind of digressed on that, but that was kind of the transformation of what led you to reading that article. We had so many hurdles. DCN has been up and running for about 4.5 years now. We've lost some people along the way because they had to, for financial reasons, we weren't able to really give anybody salaries. Money was tight. It was hard building a stable revenue in a media company. So not even just in a cannabis company, but in a media cannabis company, which media alone is a hard, kind of niche to try to find stabilizing revenue when you don't want to go down the path of as I call it, a pay to play kind of company. So we had quite a few hurdles, but we also had a lot of good, like I said, milestones along the way. We are global. We're being viewed in all 50 states, 190 countries. We've been able to highlight thousands of entrepreneurs and products and brands. But in the course of the last 6 months, things started to get really hard. DCN got down to only 2 of us, and I had only about 2 people part-time. I made a kind of some wrong decisions when it came to one of the revenue streams and deciding to stop it instead of keeping it going. And so we had some tough moments. And this year was my goal to really kind of save DCN, you could say. I built a strong strategy to really find a new path for revenue. I brought in some key new team players that I felt were going to help evolve the company, but something was still wrong. And I couldn't put my finger to it. I was having a lot worse anxiety. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't even think about the future of DCN after this year. And that's what scared the crap out of me, because as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, what's next year going to look like? What's my 3-year plan? What's my 5-year plan? And it was just gone. And finally reality set in, and I was like, I hate to say this, but I've lost the passion and I've lost this drive to work 24/7 around what I consider my baby. You know, this is our baby. This is something we put our blood, sweat, and tears in. And that's what that letter was. It was recognizing that I needed to be honest with myself, and I needed to be honest with everyone around me, because as a CEO, as a founder, how can I lead a team, let alone lead a company, if my heart's not there? It's not going to succeed. It's not going to survive, no matter how much I want it to, no matter, even if things started moving in the right way, it wouldn't continue to grow in the way it should. So that's kind of where we're at. But what surprised me with that letter, it was initially stating we were closing. And in return, we started getting emails and calls about potentially having some organizations wanting to acquire DCN because they believe in the mission, they believe in what we've done, and they have, you know, let's say the capital, or they have the team who can continue to move it forward and continue to build what DCN was meant to do for the industry.
I love it. I love it. You touched on a lot of things there, and the absolute transparency. You know what you wrote, that what I read that night, I was like, man, this is what's missing. And I'm not just saying in cannabis. I mean in a lot of industries. And the phrase imposter syndrome really pops up for me, because I think we're all, now we're talking to cannabis startups, but if folks aren't quite sure what imposter syndrome is, I would compel you to look it up, because we all, myself included, we go through it. And so your story was just like so real and raw, and it hit home like something that's missing from a lot of industries. And you're right. I love what you said about, you go to conferences and everybody's on cloud nine and things are great. And then, you know, in 2 weeks, they're gone. Their shop is closed, or their website is, you know, that message that says 404, URL not found. And I don't understand, you know, why we just can't be like real. Not that we're not, not that we're not, but yeah, why we just can't say, you know what, I'm having some problems, or I can't get through this, you know, over this hump or this hurdle, or I'm stuck, or, you know, to what you said is I've kind of, my passion, my fuse is burned down and my passion is kind of gone. So, but interesting thing, you know, for the listeners to take note is that because of, and I would imagine it was a difficult thing for you to hit send or post that message. I don't know that, but I would imagine it was. But it opened up some, it sounds like it's opened up some very unique doors that at least I would never have envisioned being there.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have either. I honestly thought, it was pushing that send button. I read that email hundreds of times, just like, am I ready? Do I really want to do this? Like, am I ready? And once I hit send, once I started getting those emails, it was just like, first the feedback, everything. We got so many amazing comments and words from people, just how DCN has helped them and changed them and gave them a voice. But once we started getting those also opportunities, it was just like, you know, maybe this is a part of my chapter. You know, I wasn't able to push DCN to what I envisioned, but I was able to start it. And I was able to learn so much, and that's okay. This is my first startup, you know, my first real startup. I learned so much. I got it to where I could at this time within the mindset and knowledge that I carry. And it's evolved me to a better human. And now let's see what opens up opportunity-wise for DCN and opportunity-wise for me. So,
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that, you know, you hit all the wickets. You hit all the benchmarks, if you will. You surrounded yourself with A players. You know, arguably Canopy is one of the leading accelerators. You receive funding. You went through, I would imagine, a curriculum-based program. So you did the things that entrepreneurs, especially like I harp on this. Surround yourself with A players. Find yourself a program, a curriculum. Don't do this alone. You did all those things, and still, well, we're ... I love what you said. This is a chapter. It's not the end of the book. It's the next chapter. Yeah. So, so we literally then connected. So I read that article, I reached out to you, and I'm like, this is like, and I don't know if I said this, but it was about midnight or 1 a.m. Central Time, and I read it, and I woke my wife up. Like, we worked at home together, and so she was already asleep, and I texted her, And I'm feigning like I'm texting, but I texted her right here from my desk, and she was in the other room, and I could hear her phone beep, and nothing happened. And then I saw, the little dot thing. She was, and I said, Lisa, you got to read this article. And she read it. And then she got up and walked in here. She goes, oh my shit. That's what she talks about. I'm using nice words. My wife really said probably the F word. She's like, holy shit. She goes, this is a powerful article. And so, we connected. And so the DCN train is still moving. It's still chugging down the tracks. So tell us what you're doing now, because you're not just sitting at home, you're not just on the beach surfing in San Diego. Fill the gaps in now. Tell our audience what you're doing now.
Well, I have actually decided to take on a position with a company called Event High. I am the new CMO for the company. They are an online ticketing platform for cannabis-related events. They provide a safe hosting platform, and they help event hosts sell tickets and sponsorships. Now, the company, looking at it as a whole, it's cool. It has a great community aspect. But one of the things that really aligned was it had some of the similar values and what their mission and goal is aligned with DCN. And so it was really a kind of easy transition to come to this company because they believe in the community, they believe in the culture, they believe in bringing people together, and they believe it through events. Education is going to be key and is key for this space in general, and with events you can continue to educate people in so many different ways. So that is the role that I've taken on, and it's been exciting so far. The one thing though that is interesting is their challenges are so different than my challenges, but in a good way, so now I'm kind of excited again. I'm like, ooh, new problems to solve. And so, but yeah, it's exciting. They're in 33 states now. They're an online technology, so they can scale. And they've helped over 415 event hosts so far sell tickets and sponsorships for their events.
Nice. And I know that when we spoke, obviously I'm in Texas, and you said, I don't think we're in Texas yet. Well, I got to tell you, there's actually a company here in San Antonio that is running their events on Event High. So,
that's good to know. That is good to know.
So
we're in Texas.
If you didn't know that, it's called, I think, Hep Tours, and they're based here in San Antonio. And they just, I don't know when, but I know the folks who own that company, and I'm going to be going on their Hep Tour in just a few weeks. And so I went to their site. I'm like, well, look at that. They're using Event High. They're using you guys' software. So
that's good. It is. It must have manifested because that is around the timing.
Yep. We talked about a month ago, and you said, I don't think we have anybody in Texas. I'm like, well, their events are getting shut down on the traditional Eventbrites and stuff, and non-plant just events like speaking events or meetups. They're being shut down, and so. These folks are now on Event High, and so you guys are in Texas now, San Antonio.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's good to know.
Yes. You know what else? As you were talking, some things that really emerged for me. But so you're the CMO at Event High, and it's a safe hosting platform. The problem it solves is like I just kind of stated, that the traditional event Eventbrites and the usuals, they're shutting down events for a lot of times for no reason. Yeah. So Event High, your platform caters to cannabis type of events, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot more work to be specific to this space. We have to have a specific bank account. We have to go through a lot of reporting. They check every transaction, every event host. It's called, they have SAR reports, like a suspicious activity report, every quarter. So it's a lot of work to do this, but it's worth it because we get to provide, be transparent with our bank, first of all, but also now have a safe hosting environment for event hosts to sell tickets and for attendees to make that purchase. So it's worth it. And what's even better is we get to be transparent with our bank.
Nice. Love it. And as you were describing Event High, you talked about, how it had very similar values, mission, and goals that you had at DCN, or you have at DCN. And I can't let that go unsaid, because those are critical. Those are fundamental elements of a company. And for the startups out there who caught that, values, mission, and goals, those are the things. I think we literally just released this week one of our core value episodes on the show, We to Know Basis. And I talked about the importance of core values. Your core values attract your tribe and repel the ones who don't belong. They are hireable and fireable phrases and words. And so I love that. Values, mission, and goals. And then you mentioned the culture of Event High. And those are, if we think of our cannabis business as the house of our dreams, those are the foundational cement elements of a company. So love that. 33 states, 415 event. Did you say 415 or 450 events?
415 event hosts. So event wise, there's been about 2,000 events so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
2K events. I can tell you that with certainty right here in San Antonio, there are events popping up all the time. Like,
yeah. Oh, I bet that's the thing too. Even New York, or, what was it, a couple months ago when Michigan went on board, the next day, as soon as the state regulations change or they announce something, we start to see events popping up. And like you said too, even just educational events, because they're having tough times too. Hemp, CBD, or cannabis infused, whatever it may be, they're all being kind of targeted on these platforms.
Yep. So DCN, we'll just say it's a ... There's still that chapter is being written. And I love the smile on your face, because when I read that post, I was like, man, that's tough. But your smile just says a lot about the potential, about what could be. Yeah. You're in a position as CMO of, my words, it's what seems to be a very fast growth company that is solving a legitimate problem in the cannabis industry in a really unique and authentic way, like a good thing. What else is on tap for you? Like, what else is on tap for Adelia? Not work-wise, but like, I don't know, maybe you got surfing lessons, or who knows, you're about to buy a house, or like, what else is going on?
I'm kind of just really on the path of really going to outside industry events and getting mentors to prepare myself, because an end goal or a goal in my life is to become an investor one day. So it's really kind of the side stuff that I'm doing is just trying to help me evolve into eventually becoming an angel investor throughout my journey. Fun life stuff, me and my fiance, we've dove into startup life. We've put our wedding on hold for so long that's finally, we're like, we got to do it, even if we have to go elope kind of thing. We're like, we want to do it, but we want to have a party, really, not just like, we want to make it a celebration. So we're finally like, let's do it. I want to start having a family, and those things are starting to come into conversation. It's really just kind of waiting on what does happen with DCN, to be honest. I think things are just in a forward motion, and I'm still in a transitional space that there is still a lot of unknowns. So I'm kind of just enjoying, where this journey takes me, to be honest. I am looking at, mentoring and doing helping with other organizations. So keeping my options open on there, whether it's again, mentoring or volunteering or just seeing what's out there. So I don't really have a set answer on that, because there's so much in motion.
No, that's cool. And I wanted to ask that question because, work can't be everything. Our startups, it is who we are. There's no doubt. There is, as an entrepreneur, especially in the startup phase, there is no work-life balance. Work is life. Life is work. Yeah. So your fiance, I'm guessing he's supportive. Like you guys are on board. You're on the startup wheel, like driving together.
We both are. And, we've had some challenges, and, we both have side hustles when we need to. It's crazy how in the beginning it was really hard, trying to juggle it, because we both were building startups. So both building startups, we both don't have full-time jobs. Like, it was really tough. And so we're like, how are we going to survive? We have a dog too. So it's like, she needs to be fed well. Like we need to be fed well. So we've had to, we've been through the journey. We've cleaned Airbnbs, we've done Postmates, we've done it all to just survive, but it's all to get us to the path of these businesses to succeed. We believe in these businesses so much that we're willing to struggle. We're willing to transform our life into something we probably thought we wouldn't, you know, downgrade so much and live so small and tight knit when it comes to money. But the long-term investment, I think, is coming. We're starting to slowly see those things kind of happen. And one day, keep moving forward. And literally, it's been 4.5 years, but things can change next month. Things can change in 3 months. Things could change in a year. So, but we're willing to take those sacrifices.
Love it. They say that overnight success is 10 years in the making, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's for real too. You feel it.
Wow, that's more power there. You know, my wife and I, when we started our company 19 years ago, we were both working nurses, RNs, and so we were literally. I would work night shifts. We met in the ER 2 decades ago. Started a company when we were dating, and took us years. Like just when you're 4.5 years, So folks who are listening or watching, 4.5 years at Adelia, you guys have been hustling and side jobs, Postmates, and doing all the things just to feed your family. And it's just that dream. It's the vision. It's that goal. It's that, and I think part of it is, as entrepreneurs, we're unemployed and unemployable.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes. Like I can't imagine, I'm knocking on wood, I can't imagine ever going and having to, no offense to anybody, but punching in and punching out somewhere. I can't. But I would work night shifts and 7 to 7, 7 P to 7 A. And when we got married, we had a 1-bedroom apartment, and we launched our company there. And 7 P to 7 A, and then I'd work, on the business for a few hours, sleep, and then have to get back to 12-hour shifts. But yeah, I love that. I also love that your goal is to become a part of an angel network or an angel investor, or who knows, maybe ArcView's new leader, huh?
Right? No, you can only wish. No.
Hey,
you never know.
That's right. You're going to dream big.
Yeah.
So tell us where, for folks who are listening and they want to get in touch with you or hear more about Event High, and what's the best contact info? How can people reach you or reach Event High, or just where is that?
Yeah. So first one would probably be Instagram, at Miss Adelia. You could DM me directly there, follow me. Also on LinkedIn, it's Adelia Carrillo. And if you want to learn more about Event High, it's www.eventhigh, like hi.io. And there you could find all kinds of different cannabis events and experiences.
Gotcha. So the Instagram, was it MISS?
Yep, MISSADELIA.
Okay. I already knew that. I just wanted to make sure. It's because when people are, is that MRS? Is that MIS? Is it so Instagram, LinkedIn, eventhigh.io. So what you got going on today?
Let's see, I have to finish developing a newsletter. We're rebuilding out all of our email confirmations with the tech team. So all the automations, we're just kind of transforming and tightening things up and building some new internal processes for the company right now. So just work.
Gotcha. What would you say to somebody, because you mentioned, mentoring is kind of a thing for you. And I love that. I love that. For me, it's a bit of paying it forward. What would you say was your number one tip, or just a tip or something you would share with a brand new cannabis entrepreneur or startup entrepreneur? What's something you would share with them? Because there's a lot of them listening to this show.
So, I think the first thing is coming into the cannabis space in general, be open to learning about this plant as a whole, the history of this plant, the community behind this plant. There's a lot that goes behind this plant. There's a lot of, in a sense, backs that this plant was built on, and we just need to be mindful of how this space evolved. The biggest thing is there's people still in jail for this plant, and that's the biggest thing that we need to always keep in mind. As we are making money off of this plant, this industry, there's still people in jail for doing exactly the same thing. And I think that's the one thing we need to be, I don't want to say sensitive, but be aware, and think of how you're building your business and how is it bringing value and even respect to this plant as a whole. So just educate yourself on the history of this plant. And I think that'll help you with the building of the foundation of your company.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Really appreciate your time today, Adelia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate being on here.
Nice. So I don't want to drop my iPad here, so I have to put it in my drawer so it doesn't fall down. Really appreciate your time. We're again, it's a beautiful Texas day, and I got to say that you have really just you shined a spotlight here on. I'm looking forward to getting this interview out there for folks to listen to. You heard where to reach Adelia through Event High and also her Instagram. And remember, guys, if you're listening to this, take note of all of the little nuances and nuggets that you heard, especially around goal setting. Long term, where you heard where she wants to go, the end in mind, becoming an angel investor, maybe even leading ArcView, values, mission, goals, culture of your company. But really, as we wrap this up, the reason why you're listening or tuning in and watching, it's because you two are on a Weed to Know basis. Love to hear your comments and feedback, but not if you're driving. So thanks, folks, for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.